Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host, broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the Valley of the Beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Joining me, as always, Mega Jesse. What are we talking about today, Mega Jesse?
Yeah, we've got a lot of important stuff to begin getting into today because the Nicole Mitchell trial has officially started. That is going to be big news. We're going to be breaking down what's going on there. It just officially started this week. There is some body cam footage finally available. People have been waiting a long time to have that be seen to the public. We've been asking for it for a long time. Alpha News requested for it a long time ago. Finally, we get to see at least some of the arrest footage and some of the questioning and some of the answers that she did there. So we'll also be talking about Vance Boelter, an update on the Minnesota assassin who went after Melissa Hortman. We'll talk about a New York Post article that talks about a potential motive of Vance Boelter. We'll be getting into pedophile protector Michelle Fischbach, who has decided to vote in Congress to hide the Epstien files. This is incredible. We're seeing right here in Minnesota, congressmen and congresswomen, in this case, Michelle Fischbach, voting to protect the Epstein files. She does not want them to be public. It's disgusting. We're going to expose it. We've got an article to talk about that. And if we've got time, we might get into Omar Fateh being the next Zoran Mondami. Omar Fateh is a state senator running for Minneapolis mayor. Breitbart has reported saying that he may be the next Zoran Mondami, who is the socialist Muslim running in New York City.
Awesome. Good stuff. I'm just realizing we are not live on our Facebook right now, or sorry, on X. So I'm just going to post our YouTube on X. So if people are watching X, they can just click on the YouTube link. So yes, please interrupt at the same time if you want to be part of our show. This episode is brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in the great city of St. Cloud, Minnesota. Also brought to you by John Galt Mortgage Company. Now, if you're looking to buy a home, you're going to probably finance at home unless you got enough cash. I don't know. Do you know a lot of people with just cash to buy homes? They're out there. There's no doubt they're out there. But if you're going to look to finance at home, go to the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company. Give them a chance to finance at home. Go to johngaltmortgage.com. We're also brought to you by Elite Guardian. And then you can sign up for my next home defense and concealed carry course. This is a USCCA curriculum. The next course is on Monday. Let's see, Monday, August 4th, Monday evening. You can go to eliteguardianmn.com. Okay. Got all the business taken care of. We got to get into this. Jesse, we broke the story. I shouldn't say we broke the story. What are we talking about? We talked about the story right from the start. We didn't break the story. Jeez. That sounds like we've
been on top of it. You're right. We've been talking about it for a really long time, and it's been a long time coming. She has pushed back this court date time after time, using excuse after excuse, saying that because she's in the legislature, it needed to be pushed back. They had all kinds of tricks and tactics to delay this thing. So it's been a long time coming, and this should have happened a long time ago.
100%. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. We were on top of the story from the get-go. I've talked at great lengths about it. I think a lot of people kind of understand the travesty here is that she was able to vote on the laws of the state for the last year, despite, what I think even the defense is admitting is all the evidence in the world that she entered the house of Carol Mitchell, her stepmother, unwelcomed, right? Unwarranted. They even basically said that they would have pled guilty to trespassing, which would have been a misdemeanor. What makes it different from trespassing and first-degree burglary is the fact that entering the home is in the act of trying to commit a crime. And it's funny that, I do give the little cameo and the little shout out to Elite Guardian MN because we do this concealed carry course where we actually, which qualifies you to get your Minnesota permit to carry. And part of that curriculum is the laws of Minnesota, right? And in the state of Minnesota, you have a right. They don't call it castle doctrine in Minnesota, but you have a right to defend your home against someone who is in your home unwarranted, who's in the act of committing a felony act, okay? Which would, basically account for any kind of physical violence against an individual. Well, we don't know at this point, but we had believed in some of the stuff that was coming out that there's a potential Nicole Mitchell was actually trying to commit a violent act against her stepmother. After watching the body cam footage and the opening statements, I'm not so certain I believe that at this point. What I think is almost clear without a doubt is she was there to steal things. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull up my notes here because I didn't want to go
Early
through
in the
video.
morning. This wasn't a welcoming time to be entering someone's home. It wasn't as if, I think the body cam footage I was seeing, it said something like 4:50 a.m.
Correct.
And who knows how long she had been there up to that point. It sounds as if she was in the bedroom at a certain point. We don't know exactly all the details quite yet.
She was definitely in the bedroom. She startled her stepmother by entering the bedroom. And her mother thought she was a man. She misgendered Nicole, unless Nicole felt like a man that day, I guess. So, what the prosecution starts out, or what the state starts out with, is the statement, which we knew from the get-go. This was like one of the early statements that came on this ordeal. They start with a statement from Nicole Mitchell, and it's, quote, "I know I did something bad," which we will show you the video of it because now we can see it. So, what I think the prosecution is stating is she's admitting to the fact that she consciously was committing the crime, right? The crime isn't only entering the home unwarranted, it's also the fact that she was trying to steal items, which she admits in video that she was gathering a couple things. And they believe this is a slam dunk case when it comes to those facts. The one thing that I would say is interesting, and this was, the state setting this up because they know where the defense is going, that they could prove the who, what, when, where. They don't have to prove the why, but that's what the defense is going to do. And so the defense, as many would guess, is purely going under this idea that Nicole Mitchell is a saint. We should all be thanking Nicole Mitchell at this point because she cares for a loved one who's entering advanced stages of dementia. By the way, as we speak, I think Carol Mitchell is still on the stand. We are not able to watch that. This trial is being broadcasted live, with the exceptions that if somebody doesn't want to be seen on camera, they can request that. And so Carol Mitchell is not only not, we're not getting the video footage, we're not even able to hear her testimony, which is interesting. The state's already bringing her up. So far, they've had the dispatcher for the sheriff's office on stand, and then they had Officer, oh shoot, what was his name? Started with Hagen. Oh, I didn't write it down. Shoot. My bad. I'm slipping up on it. So those are the two that have spoken. Then, of course, during the second, the officer that responded, that's where we saw the footage, and I'm going to show you the footage in a bit. So the defense is really leaning hard on Carol, so the victim here, that she's in advanced stages of Alzheimer's, and that Mitchell was really there, even though the evidence won't show this in the camera footage or anything like that, but that she's really there to do a welfare check on her stepmother. A welfare check, as Jesse points out, which she gets into a vehicle at 1 a.m. and leaves Woodbury. And for those that aren't from Minnesota, that's the east side of the state, and drives to the north, kind of the, well, I shouldn't say the northwest side of the state, but north and west, really on the west side of the state. 3.5 hours, I think, from Woodbury, something like that. Enters the home through a basement window, as the defense says that the victim, they don't say victim here, by the way, has been barricading the door. I don't think there's any proof to suggest that was the case, that Nicole Mitchell would have had a key, but she enters through the basement window, all dressed in black, with a flashlight, with a black sock over it, gathering items from the house, which she seems to admit on the camera. And so essentially their defense all comes down to this was a welfare check. And so therefore the other component of burglary, which is in the act of committing a crime, in this case, the state is trying to prove that she was trying to steal things, which I think they got a pretty solid case on. So either they're trying.
She says it in the body cam footage that we'll look at, because you're right. She says directly, "I'm just here to grab a couple of my dad's things," which if it's in the stepmom's residence, you would figure it belongs to her, not Nicole. And there's proper channels to go about retrieving items from someone else's residence. You have to get the police involved. And burglarizing their home. And, she's got the burglar beanie and everything. She's got the whole get up. It just, the footage does not look good for her.
Not at all. No, not at all. I don't think it makes it more damning than we would initially thought. But it doesn't look good. And we'll let you guys be the judge of it, because I'll tell you one thing, this has been suppressed from the public view. So Senator Nicole Mitchell has been voting as a member of our Minnesota legislature. She's been passing laws, dare I say bad laws, right, in the last year. And we were not able to actually see this video until today. They also had the 911 call. I don't think there's any point in showing that to you, but you can go to my X account to see that. All right, so let's get into it. I think I've got this right. We no longer have Dawson here, so I'm going to have to make sure I got this right. But I go to presenter mode, and then I'm just going to blow up this window. So I think this will work well. Here we go. This is the actual footage.
Police department. Underneath the stairs. So it's your motion now? How's the motion? Is there a way to get underneath the stairs?
That's Carol right there.
Sector 05, you can come up along those sectors, a long driveway right to the back of the residence.
Another bathroom. Yeah.
Get on the ground. Hands behind your back.
There's Senator Nicole Mitchell right there.
Carol? Yeah? It's Nicole. It's Nicole?
Oh, no.
I was just trying to get a couple of my dad's things because he wouldn't talk to me anymore.
So admission she's trying to steal items there.
She's my stepdaughter. I didn't steal any documents. How did I steal documents?
Cool, what's your last name?
Mitchell. You had your Aunt Nancy do it.
30 Becker Route 1015.
No one did anything.
Is there Nicole Mitchell in house? Stand up.
Okay.
No one stole anything here, Carol. I don't have anything on me.
Take her out if you want to talk to her.
Not tonight.
Got anything on you?
No. I have a flashlight. That's it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Transition area for 1015.
10-4 or 10-15. Becker, you can clear 10-33.
10-4 clear, 1033 up 452. And I see a Nicole Mitchell in house.
Is it Mitchell?
Mitchell.
Mitchell? Mitchell. What's your date of birth?
10-4 not finding one then.
10/10/1974.
10-10-1974. You got a middle name?
Lynn.
Middle name Lynn. Anything else in here? Did you drop
there's
anything
not.
else?
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
She's gonna do what she's gonna do.
Okay.
My dad died last year. She's paranoid. Well, now she's really paranoid. But can I just grab my shoes?
Where are your shoes at?
I'm going to just stop it real quick, just so people understand where the trial's at. And we can't see Carol's testimony. Okay, so that's blocked from the public view. But the defense is arguing that she's there for a welfare check, and what the state is saying is nowhere in this video, which is how we know what happened that night, is she actually saying that she's there for a welfare check. And Jesse, I remember you and I talking about this story as it was developing that week, and all of a sudden that was the statement she made days later. So they were coming up, in our view, right? And this is up to a jury now to prove. In our view, she was coming up with some bullshit explanation of why she was there because she got caught red-handed. And so you'll see in this footage, you'll see Carol then come and accuse her also. You saw her stealing documents is one thing she said, but then saying she's here to steal money too. Okay.
And it's clearly not a welfare check. It's clearly not checking up on her stepmom because why else would she be scared of who was in their home at 4:50 a.m.?
But defense has already argued because during the 911 call, Carol thinks it's a man in her room, which is just creepy that she went into the room, which the defense says, well, she was actually wanting to visually inspect that Carol's doing okay because she's, losing weight and drinking more. Okay. And that's what they're saying. I am not stating this as fact. That's what they're stating. And so a burglar, a real malicious person, would flee the house, but Nicole stayed around. But it's very obvious Nicole was hiding. Now, she then ends up opening that basement bathroom door. But what the hell is she going to do? It's 2 seconds away from the cops opening the same damn door. And is she going to try to hide behind the tub and assume? I mean, she knows she's done. Like, there's no way out of this one. And then, of course, if she did flee the cops somehow, because I don't think there's a window in that bathroom or window she could get out, well, then you add on fleeing law enforcement onto those charges. So, yeah, they got her dead to rights here on what's going on. So let's continue on.
Just under the thing? Just under the...
So she's looking for her shoes now that she placed under this futon or couch or whatever this is.
No one has stolen anything from her, and I know this sounds weird. I mean, from a personal handcuffs, but never.
Here, why don't you get up? I'll grab them for you.
They were flat.
Let's see.
Oh, they're just stuck under there.
38, we got it.
Tell her, thank you. Why are your shoes stuck all the way on?
Well, because I was. I have never done anything like this. You're going to find it out. I'm a military commander, for God's sake.
Okay.
She's got severe Alzheimer, and there were just a couple things in my dad's I wanted to come get.
Grabbing some things of her dad. So once again, admitting that she's there to steal something.
Trying to get money. She kept. I can show you my bank account.
Well, let's go upstairs.
Okay. And you just heard Carol come by saying she's trying to get money.
Obviously, I'm not good at this.
All right, let's go up the front door here.
After the I'm sorry, are we leaving?
Yeah, we'll go to my car here quickly. I'll let you sit down. And...
Yeah.
Go ahead. This one. Go over here. Stand by.
You can see all dressed in black stocking cap. Wow.
No, not in front.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got it. They don't give us automatic
That's okay.
locks.
That's okay.
All right, are those tight? Hold on. You just want to make sure they're locked so they don't tighten up.
There you go. Police, and I just cut off there. What I found so interesting, let me get back here. How do I do this? Jeez. Okay, there we go. I mean, the state has to prove that. I mean, the defense is not arguing that she entered that property, right? There's no arguing that. Okay, so defense is maybe trying to punch holes in the fact she was stealing stuff. This whole welfare check, and I think with one other caveat here, defense is maybe hoping that there's a little bit of jury nullification in the sense that technically she committed a crime. But, and as the defense actually stated, and this is such a fascinating part, I have to read this quote directly. There is no roadmap on how to deal with an aging parent. I don't know why burglary is the way to help with an aging parent, but that's what their defense is, that she's doing something so nice and in consideration. And I agree, I would even admit that this is a little different than burglarizing someone you don't know. But, you know, they always say like, what is it? Like the majority of sexual assaults are people that you know, isn't there's some kind of stat like that, right? So it's not like that's makes it that much better. So I could understand they want to create this confusion in the sense that it's somebody that was known, but that doesn't mean that the crime isn't being committed, or it could be as heinous. I see O'Bannon's got a $5 rumble rant. Throw this crazy B word out of the Senate immediately. Come on, don't do this. I've got my swear jar here. Don't make me. Well, I guess he did do the $5, so it would just go right into that thing.
But it's completely true. I mean, it's about time that Nicole Mitchell gets taken out of the Senate, and you know, the fact that the Democrat caucus has protected her because they care more about being in the majority than they care about principles. They had no problem expelling Justin Eichhorn or you know, accepting his suspension, but they would have expelled him, of course. And it just shows they have two different standards of justice. And one thing I wasn't able to make out in that video, Jake, I'm not sure if you were. Why were her shoes all tucked back in there? I couldn't make out what she said.
It's bizarre, and there's some things. The police cam footage, I want to say, goes on for about a half hour. They actually have about 5 minutes of the squad car driving to get there. So I just cut that off. And then she ends up getting Mirandized, so we could pick it up there. And then they actually fast forward the drive to the county jail, and then they pick it back up at the county jail, where at one point the deputy even says, like, so what brought you to this moment of doing this, or something like that. It's like, oh my God, but you couldn't really hear her. And it's like, oh my God, there could be some real nuggets in that alone, like admission. So let me go to, this is after being Mirandized. And I want to say, people that don't know this, she actually did graduate from law school. She's not a practicing attorney, but she went to law school. So after being Mirandized, she doesn't shut the hell up. This is fascinating. Watch this. Oh my God, sorry. That was the wrong one. Sorry. 1 second. I'm going to just get rid of that. This is the one I wanted to show right here. Okay.
For you without cost. Do you understand each of these rights I've just explained to you?
I do.
Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me now?
I'm just hoping this mistake won't completely fuck up my life.
So,
I know I did something bad.
I know I did something bad. Now, once again, as I stated before, that's actually what the defense has started out the whole case. Or sorry, defense. The state started out the whole case basically with that direct quote. I know I did something bad, which is like you knew you were. I mean, the idea is if the defense is trying to paint her as a, I mean, they're almost painting her as a saint. She's doing a welfare check. She really cares about Carol, right? But here she is just admitting she knows she did something bad, which the defense also would suggest, well, that's because in the heat of the moment, she kind of got startled. Okay, sometimes the
And
truth really.
this is the problem. Sometimes with these defense attorneys, they want to do this strong arm case where they make their, where they make their client look like a hero in the story when reality just doesn't seem to bear any of that. So it ends up hurting their case typically. So I think that she is going to have a tough time making that argument. They would probably be potentially better off being honest and, making it seem as if this was all a big misunderstanding in that way rather than going for some welfare check narrative.
But I feel they're boxed in, and I don't even really hold this against her attorneys. I mean, imagine taking on a case. They got her dead to rights here. I mean, there's no dispute she was in this property that she wasn't welcome to be in. There's no dispute of that. The only way they could possibly dispute the act of a crime would be that she wasn't trying to steal something, which is kind of the thing they're going with. And yes, they might try to get the jury to not agree with the law because of this complex navigation of dealing with an elderly loved one who's suffering from Alzheimer's, which stinks that we don't get to see what Carol is like on stand. I think there's complications of putting Carol on stand, but I think the state really thinks that they need that for this case. And I think she was very startled. And I also think that we're led to believe, well, actually, if you watch the opening statements of defense, that really, and of course they're going to make their defendant look good, right? They're going through like her bio and military service and stuff like that, and that she's trying to help out Carol. But there's two sides to every family dispute, right? They're not like, I wouldn't even say, without knowing anything, I wouldn't even say like Carol is probably innocent party. I'm sure there's been disputes, and I'm sure even Carol would admit like maybe she's handled things in the family wrong. But without knowing anything, it's almost like, hey, why did she think she was taking documents? Why did she think she was taking money? There actually might be something to that. We're not learning that we're not able to see her on stand. So
Nicole Mitchell, in the body cam footage, she gets very defensive about the documents when accused of that by Carol. So, sometimes when someone reacts that way, there's an element of truth to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to go just real quick because in the end of the day, either you're going to get a jury not agreeing to the law or agreeing to following the law, because they'll be instructed by the judge, but in the end of the day, a jury can do what they want, right? And this is Minnesota statute 609-582, burglary in the first degree, which is what she's being charged with. She's also being charged with a lesser charge of having burglary tools, which I would imagine that's going to be a slam dunk case there. But, this is the stuff that gives her prison time, okay? So whoever enters a building without consent, which isn't being disputed in this case, and with the intent to commit a crime being disputed, or enters a building without consent and commits a crime while in the building, which it's hard for them to argue that because she left before maybe committing the crime of actually theft because she was still in the building, either directly or as an accomplice, commits burglary in the first degree and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 20 years or to payment of a fine of not more than $35,000 or both. If the building is a dwelling and another person, non-accomplice, is present in it when the burglar enters, or any time while the burglar's in the building, that's not even being disputed there. And then the burglar possesses when entering or at any time while in the building any of the following: a dangerous weapon, any article used or fashioned in the manner to lead the victim to reasonably believe it to be a dangerous weapon or an explosive, or the burglar assaults a person within the building or the building's pertinent property. That actually has not been addressed yet, but once again, we are like just the first half of the day of this trial getting underway. So that part hasn't been addressed. But really, you could tell the defense, what they're doing is they're cutting a hole into the whole argument that she was there to steal something, which seems to be pretty obvious from that body cam footage.
Mm-hmm. But I'm seeing Neil M in the comments on YouTube saying that she could have given this poor woman a stroke. And that goes completely against the narrative of a welfare check. You would think that you would want to identify yourself and make sure that, things are safe rather than scaring the living hell out of someone. And, I'm also seeing another comment here. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot says, can't wait until she's found guilty and the military strips her of everything. So, Jake, what do you think of that? Do you think that she will have titles revoked? What do you think there's anything that will happen on that angle?
Yeah, boy. I should know this, but I don't know how the military handles this because it's not a military court. So this wasn't committed. She's a guardsman. So a guardsman or reservist. I think she's a guardsman. And so this wasn't on duty. I would imagine, it would affect her military career because you can't have a command, certainly a lieutenant colonel with some kind of, felony act. Now, I'm just not an expert on that. I should know that, but no, I shouldn't. Why the military? I didn't do shit like this. That's crazy.
Yep. And do you think if there is a guilty conviction, the Democrats will actually expel her? Do you think Nicole Mitchell will go willingly? Will she resign? What do you think the outcome of this trial is?
Well, that's exactly what I go to. So for people that are new to our show and you're watching this because you're like, well, this is really interesting stuff. Jesse and I are not court reporters. We're not legal experts. We're not even lawyers. I mean, I know you have a half a year done of law school. I have 0 done of law school. My law training, other than maybe military stuff, was business law classes, right? Like, the reason we are here, the reason for Truth Hurts, is because we're political observers. And so, this is fascinating stuff. And I do want justice to be served. But the bigger question, and why it matters to people like us who are neither from Detroit Lakes nor Woodbury, Nicole Mitchell is creating laws, and she is a Democrat in Minnesota. So do I need to go through all the things she's done as a senator, all the bad things, like, I don't know, the worst abortion laws in the country, transgender surgeries for minors, protecting sexual attraction to minors in the Minnesota Human Rights Act, gun control, taxes on the poor in Minnesota, spending $20 billion in surplus. Shall I continue? Shall I continue of all the things these guys have done, increasing government by 38%? All these things that Nicole Mitchell
has ever voted against the majority of the Democrat caucus. She has always gone on every critical key vote. She is always going with the radical left Democrat position.
Right. And the Democrats, and even Tim Walz, which that tells you something. I think it was Walz. I'm pretty sure Walz. Certainly Ken Martin, who was
Walz did as well.
Yeah, called for her to resign, and she wouldn't resign in defiance. And then we were told by Senate Democrats that she will have her day in court, which kept getting delayed, and one time got delayed because the legislative session was beginning. So in the ethics committee probe, it didn't go up for expulsion, right? Which you could make the argument that maybe no one should expel someone because, that's up for the voters to determine. But I would certainly think if you commit a crime, maybe just maybe, and you've been convicted, that's the case where someone should be expelled. So the Democrats, I guess, could be consistent in that they think that your due process, but of course you shouldn't be able to use the legislature to slow down the due process because there was a victim here, and that was Carol. With that being said, we never found out if they were going to keep that same standard with Justin Eichhorn because Republicans botched that one and just let him resign right away. Because I would have loved for the Democrats to go, hey, he gets his day in court. He gets his day in court. Wouldn't that have been interesting? So we didn't play that game. And maybe that shows Republicans actually have more of a conscience, as a caucus, and not as Justin Eichhorn. Obviously, that guy's got his demons on full display. So yeah, Jesse, I don't know, man. There's nothing that says she has to resign, even if she's found guilty. And of course, I doubt they're just going to. I mean, she's going to probably be sentenced months in the future from then. So, because it's not like this is a murder case. So I would imagine, I mean, even if she went to prison right away or jail right away, I don't think that even then, and that's assuming she goes to jail, gets sentenced to jail, she could get probation. But even then, I don't know if that would stop her. I mean, it would be fascinating for her to be the first senator operating from jail. And I just don't know with politics these days if the Democrats would actually expel her. So what do you think about that?
Right. No, I don't know either because what if what if she serves out her time in the intermediary between between this last session and the next. So who knows what could actually happen here? And if she is sentenced to any kind of jail or prison time, that's I think that would probably be the final straw. I think that would force the Democrats into such a politically inconvenient position. And since Nicole Mitchell's seat is pretty reliably Democrat, they probably feel confident enough. But with this news, it's going to make the Democrat brand a little toxic because they've defended Nicole Mitchell for all this time.
It's definitely winnable for Republicans, and so that this isn't like a far left district. Okay, this is
right. It's 40B.
Yeah, it used to be a Republican district. That's long, like a decade ago for sure. So, okay, and I don't know if I want to weigh in if I think she will be found guilty at this point because I think we really have to hear defense. It'd be really interesting to find out what it's like for Carol on the stand, but yeah, we just aren't going to be able to know that. So we'll have to get someone from inside the courtroom that'll let us know on that kind of stuff. Okay, let's go to our next topic. This is brought to you by John Galt Mortgage Company. If you are looking to buy a home, give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage a chance at financing that home. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com. All right. Vance Boelter, the alleged Minnesota assassin who is standing trial, both federal and then eventually will be under state charges for the murder of Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman, and then also the attempted murder of John and Yvette Hoffman, actually provided a statement or actually an interview to the New York Post. So this is fascinating stuff. They want to obviously find out what the motive was, and of course, it's kind of goofy talking to someone before a trial occurs because this person can incriminate himself. But the mystery of this whole case just continues to get even crazier and crazier. So let's go to New York Post. Accused Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter hints at motive during exclusive jailhouse interview. It didn't involve Trump stuff or pro-life. That kind of goes against the narrative that they were going with the first week. The man accused in the politically motivated assassination of a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband insisted to the Post this week the murders had nothing to do with President Trump or abortion, but stopped short of saying what allegedly drove him to kill. Quote, "You are fishing and I can't talk about my case. I'll say it didn't involve either the Trump stuff or pro-life," end of quote, Vance Boelter wrote this week from a cell inside Sherburne County Jail in Elk River, about 30 miles northwest of Minneapolis. I am pro-life personally, but it wasn't those. Okay, first of all, no, you're not pro-life, buddy, right? Like,
right, he's pro-death.
If you did this, I mean, you're not even just you did this. If you did this, you're not pro-life, okay? Using the jail's internal messaging system, I will just say there's a lot of information that will come out in the future that people look at and judge for themselves that goes back 24 months before the 14th. If the governor ever lets, and there's some kind of grammatical thing you say that they're cutting out here, if the governor ever lets it get out, which it's, once again, this is another time he mentions Tim Walz, which is crazy. The Post communication with Boelter, 57, included messages and 2 separate 20-minute video visits Friday, and were his first public comments outside of brief court hearings since his arrest for the murders of Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband. He's also accused of shooting State Senator John Huffman and his wife Yvette, as I mentioned. Boelter harped on a handwritten 1.5 page letter left in an abandoned SUV at a crime scene that was addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel, saying critical elements were kept from the public. Can I ask what you heard as an outside person about the role that the alleged person, I'll say alleged person, left in the car? Did you hear anything about that? Demanded Boelter, who was wearing a yellow jail-issued jumpsuit and spoke with a thick Minnesota accent. In the letter, which has not been released publicly, Boelter reportedly claimed he had been secretly trained by the U.S. military and was asked by Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to perform the killings so that the 2024 Democratic vice presidential candidate could run for Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar's seat. If that sounds crazy, yes, that is crazy. Certain details of that letter were leaked out that probably painted one kind of a picture, but a lot more important details that were in that letter were not leaked out, Boelter said during the second televisit Friday, refusing to elaborate, only saying the details pertain to, quote, things that were going on in Minnesota, end quote. He also says, I also made sure when I was arrested that they secured that letter. I made that request that they secure that letter before it gets destroyed because I was concerned somebody would destroy it, said Boelter, who's grown a salt and pepper goatee since his arrest. Law enforcement found the letter alongside a hit list of 70 other politicians, including Walls and abortion providers in the North Star State, and flyers for the No King anti-Trump rally scheduled the same day as the killing. He told the Post after a long pause that he supported Trump but refused to clarify his relationship to and feelings towards Democrat Walls, who appointed Boelter to Minnesota's Workforce Development Council in 2019. We reported on it quite a bit here at Truth Hurts. In response to a question about his feelings toward the victim and their families, Boelter invoked his Christian faith, bizarrely recalling a Bible verse in which God tells his followers to love thy neighbor. That's an interesting one. Quote, I forgot which verse it was, but I've always followed that, said Boelter, who authorities say wore a creepy latex mask during the depraved attacks. Quote, you can maybe ask if somebody believes that and they love God and that they love their neighbor, allegedly, how could they be involved in a situation where some people are no longer here that were here before? He eerily inquired. I'll let you chew on that one, he said. The ordained minister and father of four, who claimed to have business ventures in the food, farming, security, and several other industries, also gave a small glimpse into his own family turmoil. Quote, I talked to my wife for 2 minutes shortly after my arrest, and then the call was cut off. Nothing since then. My wife and family had nothing to do with any of this. They were all shocked like others, he wrote, referring to wife Jenny Boelter. Boelter's family were completely blindsided by his alleged crimes, they said in a June 26 statement, released through their lawyer. And we've read that on this show before. My immune system is failing because so he actually goes on to talk about the conditions in the Sherburne County, which kind of has been refuted by the sheriff's office. The accused assassin has only had contact with his lawyer and correctional officers inside the county lockup, where he's been held in a central booking cell for nearly a month. Quote, my immune system is failing because I'm being held in a booking cell that's not made to live in, he whined. I wasn't issued clothes for almost 3 weeks. Lights never shut off. Sleep on plastic pad on the concrete floor. I'm not allowed to be around or talk to anyone except the guards, he wrote. And then they say the sheriff officials could not be reached for comment, but it was disputed in one case in court because this was brought up. In fact, he had to delay in his trial because of that. All right, I'm losing my voice, Jesse. You tell me what you make of all of that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy with Vance Boelter's explanation. What's going on right there? I think he's either lying and there's some other motivation that it's not being said right now, or he's psychotic because obviously Tim Walz didn't direct this guy to kill Melissa Horban and John Hoffman, and especially not for the Senate seat. So, I think perhaps it's more likely that he's psychotic and, has these voices in his head or something. It's really tough to say. It's, some people say that, the New York Post shouldn't be interviewing him, that, don't give this guy any daylight, don't give this guy any chance to explain himself. But of course, it's such a massive event that people are going to want to know more information. And, I think even the family would want to know more of the motivations and what led up to this, because it led to the death of Melissa Horban and her husband, and nearly led to the death of John Hoffman and his wife. So I think that everybody is deserving of these answers, and Vance Boelter's statements don't make it any clearer to me what's actually going on.
I was shocked that there wasn't more commentary from the New York Post. Maybe that's because they want access in the future. But it's like, if I just witnessed this guy and he sounded so crazy and his mannerisms were different, I would want to portray that in the article. So was it not coming across that way, even though what he's saying is crazy, but did it not come across that way? Or are they just trying to get access in the future? I guess that's my other question, because it just seems insane. And it seems like can't we admit this guy's like a mental, like a mental liability to society? Like, I mean, that he shouldn't be out there roaming around. Well, I mean, obviously that. But I mean, I mean, he might not even be able to stand trial because he's crazy.
Yeah, they don't give that impression from the article. You know, they make it sound as if he's coherent. He's making his case supposedly, that he's being deflective and not clear on certain things. So I don't think that he has, a plea to insanity on, as to say that he can't testify or that he can't be held to account.
Right. All right, let's move on to the next issue at hand. This is an interesting one. If it wasn't for this trial today, I think we would have led with this because this broke kind of late. I think it was yesterday evening.
Last night.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Michelle Fischbach apparently is voting against the release of the Epstein list. Let's go to your article. I think it just got published on Action for Liberty.
Yep.
Tell us about this. This is a crazy story here.
Yeah, this is really crazy here because, like you said, I'll just start reading it and get into it here because there's a lot to unpack. So, Minnesota's 7th District Congresswoman Rhino Michelle Fischbach voted Monday, July 15th, to cover up the Epstein files. She has taken many bad votes throughout her long career in politics, but protecting powerful pedophiles from being exposed and prosecuted is a low that Michelle Fischbach has never reached before. The Jeffrey Epstein cover-up has lit a fire under MAGA like nothing else. It is perhaps the largest betrayal so far of the Trump administration. Attorney General Pam Bondi, alongside FBI Director Kash Patel and FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, released a memo, which I have linked in the article if people want to see the actual memo themselves, because there's been a lot of talk about it. It's interesting for people to see it themselves. But there's a memo claiming that Epstein did kill himself, that the video released of the jail facility corroborates that suicide. It also states that Epstein had no client list and that there was, quote, no evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. But despite that, the report also states that Epstein has harmed over 1,000 individuals. So I don't know how those two things can coexist, that he was not blackmailing prominent individuals with it, but he also somehow harmed 1,000 individuals. Our government is treating we the people like mindless, soulless beings. And to make matters worse, Congress
Jesse, just real quick, because I've known and I've studied this case a lot. It's not just that, it's all circumstantial. Like, did he really abuse these thousands by himself? It's that you actually have some of the people that have been abused accuse people and powerful people. So like they've actually accused and corroborated with two or three people that don't even know each other have said the same statement. All right. Sorry. I wanted to put that out there just so people understand, like, this is a very big case of, they're lying to us.
Right. And to say that Epstein is not blackmailing prominent individuals is perhaps the biggest lie of all the lies that are within that memo. So to make matters worse right now, Congress is helping cover it up, and Minnesota's Rhino Michelle Fischbach is part of the pack doing so. Michelle Fischbach sits on the U.S. House Rules Committee, which took a vote on an amendment on Monday, July 15th, that would require the release of the Epstein files, and was defeated by a vote of 5 in favor and 7 against. I linked the full committee in there, and it is timestamped so that people can see directly when the vote is starting, the amendment's introduction and whatnot. And I also show the vote itself. As you can see, Michelle Fischbach, the top vote there, voted no. She did not want the release of the Epstein files. There was some discussion within that committee was whether it was germane. That was brought to attention by Austin Scott. However, Virginia Fox, the chairwoman, who also happened to vote no, said that it is germane. So you have to wonder what Virginia Fox's excuse is, because she thinks it's both germane but shouldn't be allowed to be exposed. And Michelle Fischbach obviously took that vote. She didn't say anything within that committee, so she doesn't even justify herself for why she would be voting against the release of the Epstein files. She is just willingly choosing to side with the pedophiles in this vote. So as seen above, Michelle Fischbach voted to keep the American people in the dark and help cover up Epstein. This inexcusable action may completely diminish any credibility she has with the America First anti-pedophile grassroots. Others in Congress say Rhino Chip Roy, who purports himself as a regular conservative, duck the vote, which you have to wonder which is worse, voting to not allow this information to be put out there, or being too afraid to show up to the committee and take the proper vote. Both are probably on an equal level with each other. And the Epstein issue may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Congress's participation in the Epstein cover-up may come back to haunt them. Career politician Rhino Michelle Fischbach is already on thin ice in CD7, considering that she failed to win the GOP party endorsement in the last election against conservative businessman Steve Boyd. And many already suspected that Michelle Fischbach was a phony due to her big government voting record and the fact that her husband runs the fraudulent, fake, pro-life group MCCL that cheers on Republicans spending your tax dollars on abortions and Planned Parenthood. And Congress has a duty and an obligation to fill in the gaps and demand transparency from the executive branch when the executive fails to deliver. The grassroots is demanding the full release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, excluding child pornography, obviously, to prove who was involved, and they must be prosecuted. Fischbach's role in this cover-up must be shouted from the rooftops, because if grassroots conservatives in Minnesota have any say on the matter, the release of all of the info would be immediate. And so Michelle Fischbach has chosen to align herself with the elitist pedophile. She is a pedophile protector. She had the chance to do the right thing in that committee, and she instead chose to align herself with the absolute elites. And like I said previously here, that the MCCL is a fake organization too. It should come as no surprise that almost all of these politicians are phonies, but Michelle Fischbach has become the prime example. The Epstein issue is an issue on its own that is it's starting a fire like people can't believe, because people are mad as hell at the Trump administration, me included. And it's unbelievable that they are covering this thing up. Pam Bondi is a Scientologist. She's partnered with them to give speeches on human trafficking. And meanwhile, who's guilty of human trafficking? Scientologists. So she's a part of a cult. And I think that she obviously has proven herself not to be trustworthy. There's all these rumors about, trouble between her and Dan Bongino. Who knows what's up and down on that one? We're not behind the scenes to see what's actually going on in those discussions. But what we can see is this committee vote where we see Michelle Fischbach choosing to align herself to protect the pedophiles.
Okay, I see Crucified 93 says, I called both of Swampbach's office this morning to get a statement as to why she voted no. No response as of yet. Okay, so, I'm just going to quickly
I think her excuse would be it's not germane, as if she has this principle against omnibus bills, as if she has this principle saying that, well, we can't have multiple things in multiple bills. I mean, we can't have multiple topics within a single bill.
Have to pass in the big, beautiful bill. Yeah, you guys
exactly. She does not have that principle. It's pretty obvious. And, they are treating the American people like we're a bunch of idiots. They think that they can lie directly to our face. I kind of given some hope to President Trump in the last episode, saying, well, he didn't fully say that he wasn't interested in it. It was more the time and place. It sounded as if he was saying this is not the right time to bring this up in this cabinet meeting. But shortly after, this memo comes out, and we see that they really aren't going to release anything. We can find all of these videos of Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino promising the full release of this information. And now they're just absolutely failing to deliver. Wasn't there supposed to be a phase 2? I remember phase 1 delivering nothing, but I was hoping phase 2 would bring us the goods, but they've failed to do so. Congress is not willing to fulfill their obligation. I think people in CD7, if you live in Congress District 7, you should demand an answer from Michelle Fischbach, but of course, if it's going to be on the topic of germaneness, you can't believe anything that she has to say. It's absolute disgrace, and this might be the final nail in the coffin for her, because she couldn't even win the endorsement last time. This is going to set a new firestorm where she may not be able to recover from this one. And she's been one of the big backers of Action for Liberty, her and her husband. So these people are not pro-grassroots. These people are against the grassroots. They want to be aligned with the establishment, and she's willing to do so to the extreme by siding with the elitist pedophiles.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot said, did Jesse say Michelle is a Scientologist? No, he's referring to Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi is a Scientologist.
Yeah, got a lot of money raised from Scientologists and spoke in front of them, which is interesting. As Jesse alludes to, why else would she speak? She's not one of them, so it's an interesting statement.
And you know what? I'm actually going to I'm going to rock the tinfoil hat, because obviously our government wants to treat us as if we're stupid, as if we're these crazy conspiracy theorists if we think anything but it. So just to play into that, I'm majorly disappointed with the failure to release this, because it was a campaign promise. It was one of the biggest promises that all people wanted to see. We're now seeing even Democrats finally say that they want the release of this information. It's interesting. I looked back. I couldn't find a single statement from Kamala saying that she would have released this information had she become president, but I'll take any support that's coming. So if the Democrats all of a sudden want to have the release of this information and they're willing to burn the bridges of the pedophiles that are on their side, I love to see it. I hope it happens.
We know it's a game, right? Let's just admit that we know that Democrats are playing the game. They're not really being honest here. But it's like, it's still on the principle of what the amendment is. We should be supporting it. You can't just say, oh, the Democrats are playing a game. It's like, okay, then why don't you offer an amendment, or why don't you have a bill, or why don't you do something, Michelle Fischbach? But apparently she doesn't.
Right. If it's the issue that she says it's not germane, Michelle Fischbach better be introducing a standalone bill to release the Epstein files, because if that's her argument, well, there's a pretty easy solution. And if she did that, we could let things be. But I really don't see that coming. Since she was already willing to take this one vote, she's willing to take a lot more worse ones than that too. So she exposed herself as being evil and not willing for transparency. It's not a good thing. And like I said, I'm pretty disappointed in Trump. Obviously, I'm still happy with 80% of what's going on there, so you can't complain too much. But this was a very big issue, and it's perhaps one of the biggest, because we're talking about something so evil. And if we're not willing to stop the evil, can we really say that we're fighting the deep state? So I want to see the America First agenda, and I want to see the anti-establishment, drain the swamp, drain the deep state agenda completely fulfilled. And if President Trump's not willing to do that, we got 2028 to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, I want to dive a little bit more into that, because that's pretty revealing stuff, Maggie Jesse. I don't think ever on this show you've really, truly said that you disagree, or I don't.
Yes, I can usually see where he's going for this one. It's just he's covering it up, and he's just trying to blame it on Democrats. And I can see. I mean, I should also say that I'm sure that there's some fake news within the Epstein files. I wouldn't be shocked if there's some misinformation within there. But we have to be able to decipher that for ourselves. And if Trump is saying, well, these documents are bad, well, how about the Trump administration produces some documents to give to us alongside the other ones, so that we can make the determination after looking at it from a couple of different legal perspectives.
Right. Or at least tell us who the hell Jeffrey Epstein worked for. And you won't even tell us that. And that's a big deal, right? So, and why he got out on plea deals, and why he evaded prosecution for so long.
Right. And so, I have to think, the more theories that I've heard, it seems more and more likely that Epstein was working for someone that he wasn't really the one running the show either.
Well, clearly not. He's working for intelligence, and it seems like it's Mossad, and it seems like it's a combination with American intelligence, or at least they have such a influence over American prosecutors and American politicians, where this guy got away with stuff. I just can't help it myself, but we'll talk a little bit about that in the post show. If you guys are not a subscriber of our post show, make sure you do. All you have to do is go to truthhurtsnews.com. You can do this after the fact. You don't have to do this live. We can do it after the fact. I'm going to quickly go find the link so you guys could just click on it if you guys are watching live. But truthhurtsnews.com, you just click on support us. If you're watching us on Rumble, you click on join. That's another easy way to do it. I'm going to post the link real quick. It's actually the truthhurts.locals.com/support, I guess, is really how you do it. That's the actual link, but I'm just going to go ahead and post it right here on all. You could become a premium subscriber. I'm going to become an insider. I didn't really put much thought into what we call it. I think it's really an insider. That's what people are. We got to come up with a clever name, Jesse. So become an insider. Go to truthhurtslocals.com. I just posted that link in here on both YouTube and X, or YouTube and Rumble. Thank you to our great sponsors, John Galt Mortgage Company. If you're looking to buy a home, go to johngaltmortgage.com. Alpine Cabinetry and EliteGuardianMN.com. Thank you to O'Bannon with the Rumble Rant. We'll be live on our post show in 30 seconds. 30 seconds.